back to another episode of Wellness Chronicles. This is where you will get simplified information on how to manage and how to live well with diabetes in an easy and simple manner. My name is Pooja Patel. I'm a registered nurse and diabetes educator from Toronto, Canada. This episode, I want to talk about the most powerful tools, powerful pieces of technology in the diabetes world that I believe is the most effective for managing your diabetes. And that is the CGM machine, or the continuous blood glucose monitoring machine. I think it is absolutely revolutionary because what it does is it takes away the inconvenience and it takes away the pain of checking your blood sugar through your finger pricks all the time. So this episode, I'm going to talk about the different types of models of CGM there are, the different types of numbers and evidence that the CGM machine will provide to you, and what that means to you in managing your diabetes and your diabetic journey. So let's start with what CGM is. Have you been to a public place like the mall or the gym, or even just out in the park, and you see people who have a tiny little circle just behind their arms? That is a CGM. And what is a CGM? So CGM is continuous glucose monitoring. So this device is the small little circle that we talk about. That small little circle has a sensor where a tiny pipe or a tiny catheter actually sits in your interstitial fluid. So what's the difference between checking your blood sugar and checking the sugar in your interstitial fluid? Now, checking your blood sugar is checking the sugar that's directly in your blood, that's in the cells. Interstitial fluid is around the cells. So you're checking the sugar around the cells. Now, there isn't much of a difference in terms of what those numbers actually end up being. So needless to say, CGM will track patterns, it will track trends, it will track highs, it will track lows, it will give you so much information and so much data that you'll be able to create this beautiful plan to make sure that you never hit a high or never hit a low, and you're able to treat it beforehand. Now, how does it work? So there are two types of models. So the first model is you have it on your arm, you've applied the sensor, and you can take your phone and you can scan it. So it's kind of like checking your blood sugar, but instead of having to constantly prick yourself, there's already a machine there and you just have to scan your blood sugar to see what the result is. So the second model is that you don't even have to scan it, or you don't even have to flash it. It just continuously tracks your blood sugars. So you have all of that data at the end of the day, or in the palm of your hand, in your phone at all times. The best part is you don't even have to worry that it's there. You can go swimming, you can bathe with it, you can go hiking, it doesn't matter. It's there for your convenience, so you're not constantly having to prick your fingers to check what your blood sugar is. So let's talk about what's in that CGM kit. Now, in your CGM kit, typically there's the sensor, there's the applicator, and then you download an app on the phone that you're able to track those patterns with. That sensor that goes on needs to be changed between 10 and 14 days. Again, depends on the type of machine that you have. Some machines will ask you to be changed. Some machines will need to be changed 10 days. Some machines might need to be changed at 7 days, and some machines can be changed at 14 days. Again, it depends on the machine that you have. So there's two different kinds of machines out in the market right now that are most common. The first is the Libre, the Lifestyle Libre, and the second is the Dexcom G6 or G7. The Lifestyle Libre is the one that I talked about, the Lifestyle Libre is the one that you actually have to flash your phone to be able to check your sugar. That's the Lifestyle Libre. The Dexcom G6, G7, that is the one that is constantly checking your blood sugar in real time. Now, with both of these machines, though, they're both great. It just depends on what your budget is, what your socioeconomic status is, whether you have insurance to cover it, because obviously the Dexcom is a little bit more expensive than the Lifestyle Libre. So again, either pattern, either format is totally fine. It depends on your preference and depends on your budget. So the Lifestyle Libre is what you would call intermittent scanning, And the G6 or the Dexcom G6 is the one that checks your sugar in real time, that is continuously scanning your blood sugars. Even the application of it is quite simple. Your physician, your family physician, or a diabetes educator can show you how to apply it, and then you can do it at home once you've got the hang of it. Again, it's just an applicator, the sensor, and it just goes on behind your arm or in your abdomen, wherever you want. Now, every time you change the sensor, so every time you change that little circle, you need to rotate your site. So if you have it on one arm, one cycle, you should have it on the other arm, the other cycle, and then on your tummy, on different sides of your tummy. And the reason for that is because it keeps the tissue of your arm and your tummy healthy, so that way it does not end up getting lumpy. Now, as a diabetes educator, I think both machines are great. It's whatever works for you, whether you want a continuous stream of data or you want to just intermittently flash or intermittently scan your phone. Whichever works for you, whichever works for your pocket, it doesn't matter. They're both quite effective. Now, Diabetes Canada, American Diabetes Association, they all have compiled plenty of research, and based on that is recommended for is patients who have type 1 diabetes who are on an insulin pump or take insulin multiple times a day, or the patients who have type 2 diabetes who also take insulin multiple times a day, and thirdly, those patients who have frequent hypoglycemic episodes. So children, for example, the elderly, for example, these populations who are more vulnerable, who might not understand that they're going to be experiencing a high or a low. As a diabetes educator, I recommend it for one more population, and that population is those patients who have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or have just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, because it is so revolutionary. And I completely empathize with the fact that checking your blood sugar 4 times a day and pricking your fingers, make your fingers sore, makes it inconvenient. So I completely empathize, having been a patient with diabetes previously myself. So I completely empathize with the finger pricks and the constant checking, which is why I think CGM is so revolutionary. It's so good because it provides you with that data. It provides you with that evidence as to how you can make that plan, how you can treat those diabetes symptoms. Again, it's based on your budget, it's based on availability, it's based on what your preference is. But I absolutely recommend it, at least for just a month, if you have just been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, because it gives you so much data, it gives you so much good information that is empowering and that is going to help you treat your diabetes accordingly. Okay, so let's talk numbers and let's talk data. So there are 4 numbers or 4 metrics that the CGM tracks: time in range, time above range, time below range, and GMI, which is your glucose management indicator, which is like your A1C, but your A1C you can only see in 3 months. When you go to the doctor and you get that blood test. The GMI you can see anytime you want to, because it gives you that average, it gives you that pattern that you can only get at 3 months with your A1C. So it gives you that great information as to how you're doing. This is why I recommend it to my patients with pre-diabetes or in type 2 diabetes who manage their blood glucose with healthy lifestyle behaviors, because it gives them a good idea. It's like a midterm report card as to how you are doing and how well your healthy lifestyle habits are working. So time in range is how much your blood sugar was within the range that it's supposed to be in. So the American Diabetes Association and Diabetes Canada recommends that your time in range sugar, you should be within range for 70% of the time. Now, time above range is basically that. It's how often or how much time your sugar was above the range that it's supposed to be at. Now, American Diabetes Association and Diabetes Canada, they recommend that your time above range should be less than 25% of the time. And time below range is your hypo episodes should be overall less than 4%. I know these numbers can be really overwhelming and really difficult to even remember. So what I've created is this little cheat sheet, which is in the link below. So that way you can download it and then refer to it whenever you want. So that way you have a good reference as to where you are and how you're trending with your CGM. So is it really worth having all this data? So let me give you some evidence. There was a study that was done with 158 patients over 24 weeks with patients with type 2 diabetes who were on insulin multiple times a day. So the study concluded three things. Patients who used CGM compared to those who were using finger sticks had lower A1Cs, had more time within range, and less time above range. So they were able to track those patterns and treat them accordingly compared to those who were using those finger sticks. So now patients with type 1 diabetes, including adults and including children who use the CGM, who are taking insulin multiple times a day or who were on an insulin pump, those who use the CGM decreased their A1C significantly, decreased the time above range significantly, and most importantly, decreased the time and duration of hypoglycemic episodes, which is so significant because the CGM actually helped caught those hypoglycemic episodes before those hypoglycemic episodes occurred. So again, so significant, especially in children and the elderly. Now, children who have type 1 diabetes and have to wear a CGM machine, it is so empowering in a way and yet so stigmatizing because they are different than the children in their classroom. And I encourage an open conversation with children. I encourage an open conversation with parents and teachers who are in the care of that child who has type 1 diabetes. And again, children, of course, because they're developing, they're going to feel stigma, that stereotypical shame and embarrassment. They're going to feel shy. Most importantly, they're going to feel different, which is why psychosocial and emotional support is just as important as physical support for these children because of what they have to face every day. With my younger patients, I love to use storytelling as a tool to empower them, to make them understand concepts that are difficult for them to understand. This is what actually led me to write a children's book called Layla and Didi, and it's exactly about that. It's about a little girl, Layla, who has a CGM for the first time, and she goes to school with it, and she has that fear, that shame, that embarrassment, that what will her peers say, what will her classmates say, and how will it impact her, whether they'll be friends with her or not. So through that power of storytelling, I love to have that conversation with my younger patients about the importance of the CGM in their own lives. The link of the book is actually in the description for your reference, so if you want to order it and have that conversation as a teacher, as a physician, as a parent, it's in the description for you for your reference. Now, this brings me to the last little piece, which is the pro tip of the episode. If you decide that you want to have a CGM, don't just wear it, learn from it. Each data point is a feedback loop for you to track your meals, track your sleep, track your exercise, and track it for 3 days, just 3 days, okay? Monitor all of these things for just 3 days, so that way you're able to understand, you're able to correlate what went right and what went wrong during that particular day, so that way you're able to make a better plan in the future, so you're not in those highs or you're not in those lows, and your time in range is more than 70%. Whether you are a patient with type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, on oral medications, only using lifestyle and diet as your method of intervention, it doesn't matter. Use those numbers to create a simple, actionable plan. And remember, you're aiming for trends and patterns, not perfection. So that brings me to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening to the episode all the way to the end. I do appreciate it. If you feel like you have taken away any important information that you can implement within your own lifestyle, or that you want to share with your friends or family members, please don't forget to share and don't forget to subscribe. It helps me create more content that is evidence-based to create a happier, healthier community. So until next time, stay happy, healthy, and kind.